Hey everyone, you may remember that a couple of months ago I made a review about Sony a6000. Well, this time I will share my opinion about its much more expensive and more professionally oriented brother, Sony a6500. I will try to answer, is it worth buying in 2018? Before getting into the concretes, I would like to say thank you for all subscriptions. That review wouldn't be possible without you, and I will be very thankful for every new subscription and if you rate this video. A6500 looks almost the same as every other camera from A6000 series. The body is very small, which is one of the biggest selling points of all cameras from this series. A lot of performance incorporated in a solid and compact housing. It's made of magnesium alloy that make it look and feel very solid and durable. The movement of the dials and the feel of buttons are also without complaint. The shutter button may be an exception, specifically there is no noticeable two-stop click on the autofocus, which I prefer. It's rather loose, but I guess this isn't that big of a deal for most people. Either way, it's obvious Sony made an effort when it comes to used materials and overall build quality. It's just solid package. The grip is decent, but you cannot really expect the level of comfort that is found in DSLRs, where grip is bigger, more profiled and provides more room for the hand. Also, its weight slightly changed. It's about 50 grams heavier than a6300. It's not very light. In fact, its weight is similar to that of my DSLR, which is quite funny when you compare the size of both. That said, it makes this camera not the most comfortable to use, but not the least comfortable also. It's simply acceptable. 2.36 million dot OLED viewfinder once again does the job, although I still prefer an optical viewfinder with real view. If you want electronic viewfinder, it's hard to find a better one. Great resolution, huge vision, no complaints whatsoever. 3-inch widescreen LCD is I think the same one which I saw already in a6000. Let's be honest, it's pretty terrible. Too much reflections, poor visibility in sunlight, and it looks too dull, due to low contrast. It's also articulating, but only at limited upward and downward range. I think it's actually a big disadvantage if you consider the video quality offered by this camera. Many people doing videography would like to have much more versatile tilt-out screen, but sadly it is what it is. It also has a touchscreen, but it doesn't work smooth at all. It's laggy and slow. User interface is okay. It could be a little bit faster when it comes to some functions, for example changing ISO values, but I can live with it. One thing to mention is that the interface, especially settings, is somewhat stretched out. It feels as if it isn't in native resolution, but I know that's just me nitpicking there. However, it has one nice feature, just like the a6000, there is visible battery percentage in the upper right corner of the screen. Now that's quite useful. When it comes to autofocus, we have contrast and phase detect autofocus with 425 phase detect points. Other difference in comparison with a6300 is that this camera offers a touchscreen that gives you touch to focus ability. As I said earlier, it works rather poorly. Whereas autofocus speed is really fast while using this camera in good lighting condition, in low light it struggles a bit more. In fact, I compared it directly with my Nikon D5500 with AFP lens and the result was pretty shocking to me. Keeping in mind Sony's autofocus is often very priced and even considered to be the best in class. My Nikon doesn't have so many focus points, but actually it was faster than Sony. Of course, I'm talking about photo mode, because Nikon's autofocus in live view is nowhere near a 6500 performance. but generally speaking, a6500 autofocus system is definitely one of the best out there, and its overall performance is very satisfying. Finally, the most important feature that distinguishes this camera from other a6000 series cameras: steady shot, built-in 5-axis sensor stabilization. Honestly, I didn't experience too many advantages of this system. It doesn't really help too much to stabilize videos, which was quite a disappointment for me because they are very jerky. Anyway, I can understand that people consider this feature to be quite important, especially if you have lens without optical stabilization or you shoot photos with telephoto lens. Then for sure you will experience much more usability than me. In terms of picture quality, I can tell you pretty much the same stuff that I said in a6000 review, except this time I had better weather conditions to fully test this camera. To be expected, picture quality is indeed on very good level. Sharpness and the amount of details is excellent, although I didn't have an opportunity to try this camera with some better lenses. Still, it's clear that a6500 has its potential. In terms of colors, I will repeat myself. There are not so many color nuances, and sometimes picked colors are not as true and realistic as they are in my Nikon DSLR, but you can for sure change it in the post, so I guess that won't be a big deal. Dynamic range is really impressive. Camera picks up a lot of details. However, exposure control is kind of disappointing. It sometimes blows out sky area too much. Low-light performance is without any complaints. It meets the expectation for the segment. I have my doubts about the noise reduction in JPEGs that is typical for Sony. I think it creates a little too many artifacts. Finally, video quality. It is the best feature of the a6500 for me. Whereas photo quality, autofocus or stabilization are not really spectacular or best in class, this camera provides probably the best 4K video quality on the market. Amount of captured details and sharpness is tremendous. At the same time, there is visible depth of the image. Unlike smartphones that can record in 4K, it delivers true sharpness and depth. Unfortunately, it lacks 60 frames per second in 4K mode, but that's to be expected. It began to be popular just recently. Same goes for lack of new generation HEVC codec, which provides better video quality and lower file size at the same time. But instead, you still have high quality APS-C codec. Low-light videos are probably also the best in class. Its spectacular low-light performance is partly due to the noise reduction algorithm, which as you can see works hard. But who cares if it works that good and provides such possibilities? It's really awesome. Autofocus works well, but stabilization, like I said earlier, is not sufficient. I wish that sensor stabilization would be more helpful for video recording. In conclusion, I have to say that this camera is really great. It's small, portable and delivers good photo quality, fantastic video quality and has many advanced features. Problem is that it's very expensive. For $900 you can have a Sony a6300, which has pretty much the same video quality, same photo quality and everything else aside from features like sensor stabilization, bigger buffer and touchscreen. These features are not worth extra money they asking, in my opinion, because they don't work that great. Touchscreen is slow, stabilization is not very useful for video. However, if price difference isn't a big deal for you and you want the best mirrorless APS-C camera on the market, a6500 will be the best choice for sure. But personally, I would go with a6300 and buy additional lens from saved money. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts about this camera in the comments below. See you later.